Welcome back to BEFM Drama. I'm your host, Ryan Estrada. This season, we're premiering brand new radio plays inspired by the 22 annual winter books that Charles Dickens wrote to try and follow the success of A Christmas Carol, but that the world quickly forgot about. Today, we present part 2 of our tale inspired by the 1855 installment, The Holly Tree Inn. Some of the stories we're adapting this time were by Dickens himself, but some were not, and they were cut from later editions of the book. Since we usually adapt the non-Dickens stories without Goblin, you may notice that in this one, Goblin falls asleep whenever non-Dickens tales are discussed. I don't know, it's just a weird rule that I made for myself. Nobody else will need to notice that. This episode is based on the chapters The Ostler by Wilkie Collins, The Poor Pensioner by Harriet Parr, and The Bill by Charles Dickens. But we've remixed all of those stories into something brand new. Our story continues with paramedics Goblin and Fern just finishing a call at the local aquarium, when Fern continues telling the story of his ill-fated trip to the Holly Tree Hotel. Please enjoy Escape from the Holly Tree Hotel.
Man, oh man! Boy, I didn't even know penguins would bite.
Yeah, I think we found most of the fingers.
Luckily, they were already on ice when we found them. If you're gonna break into an animal pen, lose some appendages, I guess the penguin exhibit is the best place to do it.
Oh, it's freezing in there, though.
Well, not as cold as it was at the Holly Tree Hotel.
The what?
The Holly Tree Hotel from the story I was telling you earlier.
Oh, yeah, your story. Yeah, that was a great story.
Thank you.
Yeah, I listened to the whole thing.
Yeah, well, I didn't tell you the whole thing.
Yeah, I know, obviously. I meant I listened to the whole part that you already told.
Right, great. Well, where did I leave off?
You went on vacation?
Yeah, we did that part.
It was cold.
Boy, sure was. And then of course I told you about how when I arrived, my wife wasn't even there. This creepy old man was at the hotel, and he said it was closed and he chased me away. So when I'm walking through the snow back to the airport or another hotel, I fell through some ice and almost died. And I was unconscious, but somebody pulled me out, took me inside, and I found myself trapped in an old inn with no furniture, no other guests, no phones, and no way out. I was snowed in. And then I found out that the last guest had been murdered, possibly by some woman named Mrs. Ostler. And I found a computer, and I was just about to call for help. But then the old man showed up with a shotgun and threatened to kill me. I forgot. Did I tell you what happened after that? Goblin. Hey, Goblin.
Huh?
Did I tell you what happened after that?
Yeah, I'm listening. You were on vacation and it was cold. Loving the story, bro.
Well, did I tell you what happened next?
Oh yeah, sure. But I love that part so much that I'd love to hear it again.
Okay, so there I am with this shotgun right in my face. I'm just a man looking for his wife. I'm not after you, and I'm not after Mrs. Ostler.
How did you know Mrs. Ostler was here?
Look, man, I don't want any trouble. I don't want to...
Please save me.
From who?
From Mrs. Ostler, my wife.
What the heck is going on in this murder hotel?
Okay, I'll tell you.
Yeah, that would be great because I'm very, very confused.
I always dreamed of opening this hotel so I could finally be good enough for the woman I loved. But I waited too long. She'd gotten married to someone else. So it was just me out here, alone. The only land I could afford was so out of the way that I rarely had customers. I was so alone. And then a guest came. A woman. She paid for a few months in cash up front. Said she needed someplace to stay to get away from it all. There was some trouble back home and she needed to lie low. She told me not to tell anyone she was there. There were no other customers, so it was just her and I. Eventually, she asked me to marry her. It was a shock. We barely knew one another. I'd enjoyed her company, sure, but I'd never thought about romance. I was taken aback at how forward she was. But I realized that she was everything I was not. I had spent a lifetime too afraid to even say hello to the woman I loved. I'd been too indecisive. Now here was this woman, bold, brave, up front. She had decisively told me what she wanted. I hoped to become as decisive as her, so I said yes. I married her in a private ceremony here in the grounds.
So that's Mrs. Ostler.
And I'm Mr. Ostler. But I soon regretted my decision. She was so cold and distant. I knew nothing of her past or what future she had in mind. I wanted to have a big wedding and invite everyone in town, but she told me to keep our marriage secret. And then she started pushing me to close the hotel. She didn't want anyone invading our privacy. I told her that we needed the hotel open to make money. She told me that I cared more about money than her. My mind still drifted back to the woman I had once loved. I had never forgotten her. One day she found an entry in my journal about my first love. She tore it out, ripped it to shreds, and wrote on the next page, "I will kill you."
That's the note I saw.
Shortly thereafter, we got another new guest, all the way from Australia.
Uriah Tattenhall. I found a newspaper article about him.
Mrs. Ostler told me to send him away. I was shocked. It had been so long since we had a paying customer. But she was so paranoid. She thought he was after her for some reason, something in her mysterious past that she wouldn't tell me. But I told her it would be fine. Then I found the man dead at the bottom of the stairs.
The news said that Mrs. Ostler was a suspect.
That's what they said, and I couldn't believe it. The police found the note she had left me saying, "I will kill you," and used it as evidence against her. I tried to explain that it was all my fault, that she had written it to me because I'd betrayed her by thinking of another woman. But still, she was arrested. I sold all the furniture and emptied out every bank account to get enough for her bail so that we could prove her innocence. She came home, but she still wouldn't tell me what happened, wouldn't tell me anything of her past. And I began to wonder, what if she was guilty? What if she was scared of being discovered for something even worse? What if she was a murderer? What if she was just using me to hide from her past? One night in fear, I stupidly wrote in my journal again about my regrets in marrying her.
I found that note too.
So did she. I woke up in the night with a knife to my throat. I begged her not to kill me. She told me that she was leaving, and I was to tell the police that she was gone, that I was never to speak of her again. I was not to look for her, that I was to close the hotel and not let anyone inside. And then, she was gone. I spent every night in terror, wondering if and when she would return. But I soon realized that she had never left. She stayed upstairs somewhere, maybe up inside the attic, maybe somewhere inside the walls. I could hear her footsteps. I could count the missing food. I could see lights on in the window, and sometimes I thought I could see her face. But I dare not acknowledge it. I dare not tell the police when they came searching for her. I dare not reopen the hotel for fear of her killing again. Dare not sleep for fear that she would kill me.
So that's why you chased me away into the cold.
I tried to save you. I tried to send you away where Mrs. Ostler couldn't get to you. But when you fell into the pond, I knew that another body would cause another investigation. I couldn't get you out, so I had no choice but to call Mrs. Ostler and tell her that we needed to save you, to keep her safe. She came, pulled you out to the fire, and told me that if you got too noisy, you would have to go, just like Uriah. And then she disappeared again. She's here, somewhere, and now that I've told you, she'll kill us both.
Wow, man. Just wow. Well, it looks like the snow's dying down, so my ankle's feeling better. We should get out of here, and we should find some help.
Let me unplug the computer before we go. We don't want her using your information to hunt you down.
And just before he closed it, I saw a new post appear on my feed. My cousin Edwin had posted a new picture. He was on the beach with his arm around a woman, and her face looked familiar. The sun was starting to come up and the weather was looking a lot better, so we walked through the snow, going back to town to get some help.
This way. I know a shortcut.
So you really don't know where my wife is?
What? No, I thought that was the story you made up as an excuse to investigate.
My wife was supposed to be here at the Holly Tree Inn in Gatmouth.
This hotel's been closed for over a year.
Yeah. I just saw a picture. I think she never even came to Gatliff. I think she's on a beach with my cousin.
Oh, geez, I'm so sorry.
Thanks. I mean, she's not holding me hostage in a murder hotel or anything like that, but I guess things have been going a lot worse than I thought. She works days and I work nights. I go to bed as she's waking up, but still, I mean, I thought we were happy.
Hey, we've all got problems in our marriages.
Some more than others. And then, far off behind us, I heard a loud, angry scream.
Isaac Ostler!
It's her! Run!
We ran through the snow as a knife-wielding woman ran after us. With my twisted ankle and his cane, we couldn't move that fast. We ran as quickly as we could, but she was catching up.
I'll kill you, Isaac Ostler. And that nosy friend of yours, too.
Maybe you're lucky. Maybe you're better off without your wife.
I think that you and I are in very different situations with regards to our wives.
What I wouldn't give to have my wife disappear.
Chop you up and bury you beneath the koi pond.
Yeah, I'd like for your wife to leave us alone as well, but it's very different with my wife. We may be in a rough spot right now. We may be having a difficult time trying to communicate, and it may pull us apart, but it is fixable. I love her, and I think she loves me. And if we get out of here alive, I'm gonna fight for her.
Maybe you think I should fight for my...
No! You shouldn't fight for your wife. You should fight against your wife because she's trying to chop you up and bury you under a koi pond.
Okay, just asking.
There's nowhere to run.
She was almost caught up. My ankle was in searing pain, and the old man was moving as fast as he could, but it wasn't enough. I knew we needed a better plan.
No one will ever find her body.
Are there any other ponds around here?
There's McClanahan's pond over that way, under the snow.
Can we try and get the same thing to happen to her that happened to me?
Follow me.
We ran toward the pond with Mrs. Ostler chasing us, screaming. Mr. Ostler picked up a large rock and my feet suddenly hit ice, but we kept running. The woman was running after us with a knife, and Mr. Ostler suddenly threw the rock behind him. And it broke through the ice right in front of the woman, causing her to fall inside, dropping the knife. And I grabbed it.
I still love her. I have to save her.
The old man dove into the water and used every bit of strength he had to pull her out.
She's not breathing.
I can help her. I'm a paramedic.
Thank you so much for your help.
I've had to deal with so many people's murderous spouses with mysterious pasts for the last 24 hours.
Well, you're good at it.
I gave the woman CPR. She was dazed, but okay. Without her knife, she was no longer a threat. But we were still stranded out there in the middle of nowhere.
Look, over there, a truck.
I'll go flag them down and get help. You take the knife and watch her.
Okay, she's coming too. Say something.
Did you mean it, Isaac? That you still love me?
I ran up the street, waved the car down, and told him everything. The driver agreed to help me get the old couple to the hospital and the police, but when we made it back to the pond, they were gone. The knife was stabbed into a tree. It was holding up another note in Mr. Ostler's handwriting. It said,
Mr. Weber, thank you for everything. I'm glad you're safe. I'm sorry we left so suddenly. Mrs. Ostler and I are going far away together. We're going to give another shot at love. Goodbye.
The driver took me to the police, and the police took me to the airport. To this day, the Ostlers were never heard from again. How's that for a story, Goblin? Goblin. Hey, Goblin!
Huh? What? Yeah, I'm up.
Are you sure you want to sleep this time?
Who, me? I'm listening. You went on vacation to meet your wife. How is Louise, anyway?
Just fine, it turns out. A little panicked that I'd been missing, but much better once I finally got a chance to call her. Turns out I misheard the plan. She was at the Gatliff Tree Hotel in Hawley, not the Holly Tree Hotel in Gatliff.
You were in the wrong hotel the whole time?
I was in the wrong country. I was only off by about 2,700 miles. I guess That's what I get for making plans in a mumbled, half-asleep conversation as I get home from a late shift.
Wow, what a misunderstanding.
Oh, and speaking of misunderstandings, I heard the news that my cousin was dating my wife's sister. They were vacationing on the beach together.
So, did you finally get to go on your vacation?
I caught another flight out to Holly, Michigan and met my wife. And we finally got to enjoy a vacation. I mean, like 45 minutes before checkout. But we made the best of it and we spent the whole time talking. We made a plan to spend more time together while we're home because we shouldn't have to fly out to the middle of nowhere just to spend time together. And we shouldn't have to make grand romantic gestures to appreciate the little things about one another, like the fact that she's never once tried to bury me beneath a koi pond. In fact, I've got tomorrow night off. Louise and I are having a date night.
Sounds like a great trip.
And kinda was.
Thank you for listening to BEFM Drama. This was Escape from the Holly Tree Hotel, based on The Ostler by Wilkie Collins, The Poor Pensioner by Harriet Parr, and The Bill by Charles Dickens, from the book The Holly Tree Inn. This radio play was written by me, Ryan Estrada. It starred Kelly Brassbridge as Fern, Sam Hazelton as Goblin, Chelsea Oster as Mrs. Ostler, and me as Isaac Ostler. Hidden Agenda, Hard Boiled, and Long Note 1 are by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech and released under Creative Commons Attribution License. Walking in Snow and Walking on Ice were by Inspector J. Thank you for listening to BEFM Drama.